So today I have for you the SCT Sampler Kit from January 2020, and I will have a link in the show notes on how to find these kits. Once the kit is out, you can't purchase this kit, but you can sign up and enroll for future kits. What I noticed about this package is that the envelope felt extra thick this month, so I was really curious to see what was going to be in there. And each month's kit has a theme word, and so the theme word for this month was shine. I thought it might be something wintry inspired, and I guess shine could be because, you know, the snow can get shiny. So I was expecting to find some wintry products in here to go with January. So let's open it up and see what we've got. The kit always comes with their signature word in some kind of it's usually foam and glitter embellishment, and that comes from SCT company itself. Now on the back of our card is a listing of all the companies and which product samples they've included. Now because this is a sampler kit, you usually get partial packages and partial sheets of larger scrapbook paper that are cut down. So this first company is Crate Paper, and first we have these puffy elements that are in a metallic finish, kind of a gold finish. And then we have a single paper clip with a rubberized embellishment there at the top and a little bird. I'm sure those probably came in a package of 6 or something, but like I said, partial packs, you get a few. And then here's some more puffy elements that another partial pack of some cute wintry items. And then we have this clear stamp set, and there's lots of wintry images like this, you know, parts to build a snowman and a tree, and that little word down there actually says Happy Winter. And then they also included some papers, and I've separated out the papers into what I believe is the Crate Paper line. Now, I'm not familiar with this line, so I'm not sure what the names of these papers are. They do have them listed on the card that comes with the kit, so if you're curious, you can look up the names of the papers until you find the images that match the one that you're interested in, because all these products are available out there in the scrapbooking world, and you can go to your favorite online shop and find them and purchase more of them if you need a larger supply than just these little samples. And these are all kind of soft winter themed papers, and I'm going to put these papers to good use in a project at the end of this video, so you can stick around for that after I get you through the show and tell portion of the video. Alright, so I set the Crate Paper lines aside and I check out to see what's next in the kit. And we've got some Ellie's Studio like journal cards, and these are all for the entire year, so it's got, each card has a month on it. That makes these great for project lifestyle, pocket pages, or general scrapbook pages. And so you can see there's the month at the top, and then a space for the date at the bottom, and then just some room for journaling. And you've got one for every month. So those are cute little journal cards. All right, up next we have, and this is what I felt in the package that was pretty thick in there. These are some stamp envelope pockets, and they're put out by the Easy2O, which means easy to organize brand, through the Totally Tiffany company. And these are some, once I pull them out, you can see they're very heavy plastic pockets, and they should fit kind of the standard size stamp sheets that are on the market these days. And they have these little tab dividers so that they can fit in some kind of file box very easily. And you can see me here testing it out with this sheet that came in, and it doesn't fit with the packaging, of course, so I'm just going to open it up and slide it in there. And you can see that they fit nicely. So if you need a way to help organize your clear stamps or maybe cling rubber stamps, these pockets would be great for that. I have another use in mind for these pockets, and maybe I'll pop in at the end of the video and just kind of give you a peek at what I've decided to do with them. So that's a very high quality product. I'm very happy with it, and it was a nice surprise in this package that I did not expect. Finally, here we have some close to my heart papers, and I will just kind of let you zoom through and take a peek at these. And they have a general wintry theme to them with the reds and the greens and, snowflake and tree icons. And so I will just let you enjoy seeing the rest of these patterns. And we're going to go ahead and move on to a project. In the past SCT kit videos, I've made the kit reveal a separate video from the project, and I decided I like them better in one video so you can kind of get a sense of the whole kit all at once. And so I'm just going through this kit and kind of trying to decide what I want to do. At first I had kind of a funky idea, but it didn't quite work out, and I'll save that idea for a future video, so stay tuned to see if I can make that work out. So what I've decided to do here is just make some Christmas cards. Okay, Christmas has already passed for this year, well, for 2019. So why am I making Christmas cards? Well, I'm just going to get a jump start on next year. And so I've pulled some images from this set, and I've already gotten started. There you can see I've used some markers and a little kind of a winter hat set. And I've got a whole bunch of hats stamped on there. So you'll see in a moment what I'm going to do with all those hats. But in case you've never used this marker technique, it's really easy. You make sure your stamp is really well cleaned, especially with brand new stamps, and you'll get a better adherence of the ink to the stamps. And now this technique does work a little better on the red rubber stamps because you tend to get a little bit of puddling of ink on these clear stamps, especially this stamp set is made in China, and their process for the clear stamps is different than the US photopolymer stamps, and I don't know the chemistry behind it. But they tend to puddle a little bit more. That didn't bother me for this because I wanted those hat images to be a little funky and have some texture to them. So that actually worked in my favor for this. And here you see I pulled out some papers, and I'm just cutting card fronts for this project, and I'm going to go ahead and make 4 cards, because if you're making some, why not make some extra and put together a set, because it doesn't take that much extra time when you've already got the supplies going and the design and the idea going. So I had some cardstock pre-cut into my card bases, and I'm just going to fold it up here and get them all prepped, and you'll see me glue all of the card fronts down to the card bases and get that step all set up. And while I'm working on that step, let me just take a minute to say why I love these kits so much. And you'll see as I'm working on these projects that I use products from these kits as much as I can and try not to use extra stuff from my stash so that you can see how versatile these kits can be with very little added stuff in. So I've added glue, and I've added some markers, and a pair of scissors. So these kits are great if you're new to crafting. They make great gifts if you have someone in your life who enjoys crafting but maybe is also new or doesn't have as much money, maybe kids. These are great gifts for a birthday, and you could sign them up for a subscription for a certain period of time. Now these kits do come in subscriptions, and I have signed up for a year in advance, and of course that gives you the best price, but there are other subscription options available, and I will have a link down below so that you can check those out if you don't know about these kits. Now I've decided to make a little hanging banner with these hats, and I thought that would be a cute. I mean, you see so many banners with flags and things, but why not have a hanging banner with hats? So I've taken the leftover cut off strips of pattern paper from kind of contrasting colors, and I'm going to use these kind of to cut out my string to hang my banner. And I start looking at this paper, and I don't like the way the tree icons kind of left random polka dots on there. I didn't really like that, but I just turned it over because the back sides are very usable patterns as well. and it still gave me enough contrast for this card, so that was just fine. So I'm going to glue all this down and set up that banner, and you can see I've got it all attached, and I've just kind of lifted the edges of these little hats to give them a little more dimension, and then we'll move on to the other parts of this card. Moving on to the next step of this process, you'll have to excuse my video exposure here. I don't usually film in one step, so when I set up my camera I was having a lot of issues with that, so I apologize. But here is what I did to move on with these cards. I wanted to add a little snowman scene to my card, and you can kind of see it there on my little sample on my stamp platform. Now you don't have to have a stamp platform to do this project. But it is helpful, and since I'm doing multiple cards, it speeds things up for me. So I'm using this white pigment ink, and you're going to need a pigment ink for this because pigment ink doesn't soak into the paper. The color sits on top of the paper, so it works no matter what color your paper is. And I'm just using a little sponge dauber, and I'm just picking up some ink and I'm dabbing it onto my project, and that's just going to tone down the cardstock. It's going to add a little white to the background of the snowman shape, and it's going to, take the color of the cardstock down. Especially you'll see when I get to the other colors of cardstock like the black, you'll see how much of a difference it makes to the color. And I'm just adding that little area where I'm going to put my image of the snowman. And you can see I've got all of them done. You can really tell on the blue and the black how much it kind of toned the color down. With the red snowflake pattern, it just kind of dulled the redness of the snowflakes so that my little snowman can pop off a little bit more. So I had done a little test image on my scratch paper here. And as I'm doing this, I'm just going to pick up each piece of my little scene. And I am using another pigment ink for this. Remember I said how these clear stamps kind of bead up a little bit? The pigment ink actually won't have that problem. Dye inks tend to have that problem because they're water-based. And these pigment inks, because of the formulation, they're thicker and they can sit on top of that cling stamp a little bit better. And so I'm just going to move along here through this project, and I'm going to add all of the pieces of this little snowman, and I'm using my little sample down there to help me place everything in exactly the right spot that I've got it figured out. And with this stamp especially that has these teeny tiny words on it, you're really going to want that pigment ink so that it doesn't pool up and then leave gaps where then you can't read that text anymore. So the ink that I'm using here is called VersaFine, and it's just a black pigment ink, and because the name says fine, it works on these little fine details of stamps. The last little bit of this project is to add the snowman, and because I already have this layer of pattern paper on top of my card base, I want to protect that little white rim down there at the bottom. So I just use a little scratch piece of paper, and I cover up that white edge of the card base right up against the pretty pattern paper, and I give my snowman a stamp, and that keeps my cards nice and clean. And like I said before, you don't need this platform. You can do all of this stamping by hand with just a regular cling block. So again, I want to reiterate that if you're giving this as a gift or something to somebody, you don't need a lot of extras. So you'll see me using these things because I have them and they make it easier, but you don't have to have them. So there's my happy little snowman, and I will come back to show you how all these cards finished up in the end. All right, I've got all these guys done, and here they are with a couple of close-ups. I will just store these cards in my special card box until it is time to send them out next Christmas. But wait, before you go, I have one quick thing to show you. Remember how I mentioned those pouches and what I was going to do with them? Well, here they are. I use a lot of scrapbooking kits, and this project that you see here will be in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. What I like to do is keep all my little embellishments loose from their original packaging so that they're much easier to get into and sort through. And I've used other ways to store them in the past, but I thought these pouches would be really, really convenient because as you can see, they have a nice wide opening, and you can just dump them out, shuffle through them, and just scoop them up and stick them back in that envelope. Now, it's not a spill-proof envelope, but that's okay because I tend to keep all this stuff together in a box, and so it can't really go too far if it does spill. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and get notifications for my future videos.